We're going to walk through and explain all the parts of this mid-1970s Maruhon Pachinko machine. This chrome post here is your finger rest bar. You rest your finger on it when you're pulling down on the flipper, and you pull down on the flipper and let go, and depending on how far you pull down the flipper, that's how much power you'll have to launch the ball. So if you want the ball to go all the way across the playfield, you pull it all the way down. If you want it to go down towards the center, the main attraction area, you might pull it part way down. Here's your receiving tray. This is where you receive balls when your play tray is full or when you empty your play tray. To empty your play tray, you just slide this lever over to the left and balls will flow from here into here. Then you can scoop them out into a bucket to refill your tray and back. Sometimes the weight of the balls will cause them to jam, and even with this over they don't fall down, so you might have to stick your finger in here and loosen the weight of the balls so they'll flow through. You may even also have to pull down on the flipper. Over here off to the side of the receiving tray is an ashtray. If you just pull it open at the bottom, you can empty the ashes that way. Here's a little window, and you can look through this window and see inside of the shooter assembly, so as balls are feeding through into the shooter lane, you can actually see them in that window. And there is a metal bar in that window, and that metal bar actually goes across inside of here, and if you don't have enough balls in your top supply tray and back, that bar will slide across and block the flow of balls. So if you have plenty of balls here and you're shooting and nothing's happening, it might be because that arm has blocked their path, and if you add balls to the back, it'll slide back a little bit, allowing balls to flow through. This is just a typical play field for many of the machines. Lots of pins that the balls bounce off of, spinners that redirect the ball, some sort of main attraction area, and then various tulips or pockets. This one has all tulips down here, which is really nice. Up here is a bumper, so as the ball launches around the shooter lane, it'll hit the bumper and bounce off into the play field. There's an outlet right here where if a ball doesn't go in a jackpot, it'll actually go through that outlet and fall out into a bucket and back. You may have lenses like these. There's some green ones and red ones here. Sometimes they'll have lights behind them and sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll just be for decoration. Here, this one, we actually have a clear window where we can see through to the supply tray, and right now you can see straight through because there's no balls there. If we had balls in the supply tray, we'd actually see balls in that window. All these machines were originally mounted in the wall in pachinko parlors, so there was a key and a lock so that an attendant could open the machine and service the machine without taking it off the wall. Typically for home use, that's not an issue. You just turn your machine around and get to anything you need to. I'll show you some features of the lock in the back if you do decide to mount it to a wall, what you can do about that. Here is that clear window that was out of view earlier. That outlet too, right here at the bottom in case it was out of view. What I'm going to do now is, we have chrome all the way around here. This is what I call the play field door. And there is a latch on the back. And on this model, it's right here, there is just a long bent wire with a loop of some kind on it. And usually you just pull up on that. And when you pull up, it will pop open your playfield door. So now you can open your playfield door in case you've got a jam in here, maybe balls are stuck, you need to get them out, or maybe there's carpet fuzz or something else, maybe you just need to clean it. The other thing we'll take a look at next is how to open your play tray door. So here's your play tray and it's on a door. There is a latch right here, and if I push down on this latch, then I can swing the door open to the right. And it's a little stuck, so what I'll do is I'll kind of pull on it. And now I can swing that open, and I have access to clean in here if I need to. I also have access to the shooter assembly. Let me zoom in and we'll take a look at that. First we have the metal slide here I talked about earlier. I'm going to manipulate it from the back. So normally it'll slide open like this whenever you have balls in the back tray, allowing balls to enter here into the shooter assembly. when I pull down on the flipper, if you'll watch right here, this plastic lever will pivot. You can kind of see the weight right here pivoting. Now what that would do is if there's a ball in the shooter assembly, as I let go, two things happen. One, there's a piston that you can't see that launches the ball in the shooter lane on the playfield. And the second thing is that this ball load lever puts another ball into the shooter lane. I'll set a couple balls in so we can see that. Okay, I've got 3 balls in. This first shot, nothing's going to happen except for one ball is going to get loaded into the shooter lane, and the next one will queue up. And then there's one all the way up here, which you'll see roll down to get into the on-call on the spot in baseball where you're waiting for next at bat, whatever that's called. So okay, so now that one's in the shooter lane, and I'm going to shoot now with the door open. The ball will just fly out, but the next one will load in. Okay, that's how that mechanism works. Let me show you it from the back. Okay, so as I pull down on the flipper, you're going to see a metal arm right there move. And here on the end of the metal arm is a spring. That spring is your piston. That's what hits the ball and shoots it on the playfield. Now attached to that arm is a wire. And that wire is moving another ball load lever, a clear plastic ball load lever. So this lever is pivoting, which pivots the plastic lever that we saw on front with the round weight. So this one engaged with that one is what puts the ball into the shooter lane, and then your piston is what launches it. Now you have a couple bumpers. Right back here is a bumper. There's one down here, and just out of view there's one here. The position of those 3 bumpers is what controls where this piston hits into the shooter lane. There is a hole in the shooter lane that piston has to go through, and if you put a new bumper in here, you got to make sure that it's not too big, because if one of these is too big, it may not allow that bumper to go all the way in the hole to launch the ball. Also, when you're playing, if you play a lot, and this was mainly in pachinko parlors, not so much in home use, but I'll go ahead and explain it. If you win a whole bunch of jackpots and you don't empty the machine, the balls could back up with the machine and get really high up and eventually cause problems. So they had a safety valve to shut off you from being able to play. So if that bottom tray below the receiving tray, below the play tray, if that starts to fill up a whole lot, it will push this metal right here, this piece of plastic inside here, it'll push it over, which pushes this, and it has a wire, and it'll push your ball load lever out of the way so you can't shoot. So I'm going to push it. Hard to do upside down. Oh, I need to adjust it. So this, I see this is bent all the way this way. What it needs to be is it needs to be straight down. If it was straight down, then it would indeed push this out of the way. So now it pushes it out of the way, and that flipper is not able to activate the lever to load a ball. So now I want to talk about this latch right here. Let me zoom in and show you a better angle on it. But first I need to close these doors. I'll shut the play tray door and I'll push it over. I want to push down this latch, and then I might have to lift it up just a tug and then push it in until that latches. Now the play field door, it's got a couple of latches right here that will turn into the play field door and latch it. So what I usually like to do is I like to squeeze right where both of them are, and so that it pops and locks in place. Now the other latches I'm going to show you, there's one down here and there's one here. Those are what open the machine with the key to swing it open if it was mounted to the wall. Now we don't have any keys because these were in gambling parlors in Japan, so they didn't ship keys with them, and there's no way to get a replacement key. But let me show you how they work. So when you turn the key, it would basically pivot this down, releasing it from this latch, and it's doing the same thing at the top one. And then you're able to swing the door open and pivot it open like that to gain access to the back of it. Now, you really don't have to do that for home use, but if you do mount it in the wall, since you don't have a key, you can disable this, like remove this latch here and the one up top. That way you can just pull it open and swing it open whenever you need to.